I mean, the way things are going, there's going to be more insane cameos in Spider-Man 3 than even Disney Plus projects coming out in the next couple of years, which is absurd. We got to talk about Norman Osborn, and we got to talk about Jake Gyllenhaal, but there's all kinds of other stuff we got to talk about too. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed, as we're going to be dropping multiple videos a day, and YouTube is really bad about letting you know about that unless you are subscribed. Now, let's get into this absolute insanity when it comes to Spider-Man 3. We haven't been covering a ton of the Spider-Man stuff as of late, as we've been heavily featuring The Mandalorian, covering The Mandalorian and a lot of the coming Star Wars stuff. But there has been almost non-stop reports, rumors, and leaks about Spider-Man 3, and they just get crazier and crazier. And it is to the point where you have probably forgotten all of the insane things that have been rumored. Let me go through just a couple of them. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. So much smoke. There has to be fire. I know for sure that Andrew is signed, and I think Tobey is signed as well. They will cameo in Spider-Man 3, and I think they might even have more films going on after that. You got Dr. Ock coming from Spider-Man 2. You've got Norman Osborn coming from Spider-Man 2 and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. But you also have Dane DeHaan, who was a version of the Green Goblin from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. And just today, there is leaked footage of the stand-in for Jake Gyllenhaal and his Mysterio character. That character has been spotted on the set of Spider-Man 3.
No way! Yes way!
And this is on top of Tom Holland and that whole cast. His cast, like Zendaya and all of those people, they are confirmed to be in the film as well. On top of that, Benedict Cumberbatch is being a huge part of the movie, and it's going to deal with the multiverse. Okay, so a lot of these cameos and different things are making sense. But guys, like almost every Spider-Man villain and person that you can think of from the prior Spider-Man movies are going to be in this film. And on top of that, there are rumors right now that Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland may all voice characters in Into the Spider-Verse 2, and that their separate Spider characters might actually show up in that animated film. And so basically when it comes to Spider-Man 3, it's starting to feel like we're going to need a bigger movie. And that's just it. I certainly don't think that all of these different characters and all of these different stories and potential threads are all going to take place in this Spider-Man movie. I actually think the majority of this film will have to do with Kraven the Hunter, Norman Osborn, a hunt for Peter Parker, and yes, some multiverse craziness that's all falling apart around the seam. And as I've said many times before, but I will repeat because I just am very comfortable thinking this is what they will do, I believe this will work to set up an actual connective tissue between the Marvel Universe, what I call the 616, our Prime Earth, and the Sony Marvel Universe, the one where there is a Venom with seemingly no Spider-Man. Now, let's stop for a second and talk multiverse rules. We don't have them fully established for the MCU, but because we see so many crazy things being reported, we can start to surmise at least some of the rules. For instance, we know that Kevin Feige and company are thinking about casting alternate versions of the Avengers, like Tom Cruise to play Iron Man, and maybe even John Krasinski to play Captain America. Now, this would suggest that at least not all alternate realities have what Peter Parker refers to as stage 4 symmetry.
Is from Earth, just not ours.
There are multiple realities, Peter. This is Earth, dimension 616. I'm from Earth 833. We share identical physical constants, level 4 symmetry.
This is set up in Spider-Man Far From Home, where Peter believes that the Jake Gyllenhaal Mysterio character comes from a parallel Earth to theirs, in which they share stage 4 symmetry.
There are multiple realities, Peter. This is Earth, dimension 616. I'm from Earth 833. We share identical physical constants, level 4 symmetry.
But we also believe that it is possible that you share symmetry with different realities where they would be the same person. We know for sure this happens in branch timelines like the ones that are created at the end of Avengers Endgame. But it's possible they happen naturally as well, as when we look at What If and assume it to actually be canon in the sense that these different universes and Elseworlds are actually somewhere out there in the multiverse, then this suggests a version of Stage 4 Symmetry, as Steve Rogers looks very similar to the Steve Rogers we have in the 616, and Peggy Carter looks damn near identical. Yondu also looks identical. T'Challa also looks very similar, meaning there's Stage 4 Symmetry, in which these actors or characters would look exactly the same, and then there are other types of alternate realities where they look completely different. But don't get too lost in all the quantum realm craziness. I have a concrete example as to try to explain this to you, because it is currently rumored that Tobey Maguire might not just play Peter Parker from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man universe, but he might also play Uncle Ben in the Marvel 616 universe. That the actor of Tobey Maguire and that person, the guy that looks like Tobey, that might be what Ben Parker looks like in our universe, and then it ends up being what Peter Parker looks like in a different universe. So there's weird things like that that can happen as well. And why is any of this important? How is this getting us any closer to understanding the multiverse? Well, here's the thing. We are grabbing characters from other movies, seemingly other timelines, seemingly other universes, right? But in a lot of these other universes, those characters died. They're dead. The Green Goblin's dead. Willem Dafoe's dead. Like, I think even Dane DeHaan's dead. Electro might even be dead. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen those movies. The point is this. A lot of those characters are dead. So how can they show up in the, like, being the character that they were? How can they show up and then be in the MCU with Tom Holland, and then also be in a movie with the Spider-Man from their universe if they were dead? And this is where this branch timeline Stage 4 Symmetry thing comes into play, because the way they can play it is that this is a branch timeline from the Sam Raimi universe, meaning that's totally that character, okay? But it's like the Gamoras that meet in Endgame. They are the same person, but they're also completely different because they're pulled out of different times. Oh yeah, it's getting really weird, and that's why Quantum Mania makes so much sense to be Ant-Man 3, in which, you know, we'll have the people, the professionals, probably explain all of this and help our brains make more sense of it. The bottom line is this. I think the explanation here for a lot of the casting we're hearing about, including the Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe thing, is this is going to be a version of the exact same character that we met in those prior films, much in the same way that Endgame established that we could meet different versions of the characters that we know and love from the MCU. And this also gives the studio a lot of options. Like, maybe they can get Willem Dafoe to actually be Norman Osborn for the MCU moving forward, and, you know, not go over to Sony and really just focus on doing stuff with the MCU. Maybe they can't. Maybe he will go then be the Norman Osborn over with Tom Hardy's Venom and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, or Tobey Spider-Man, or whatever, and we get a different actor to be the Norman Osborn for the MCU. And so they get to figure it out. They get to have different actors, maybe the same actor play different characters. It gives them a lot of room here. And so basically, in some ways, for sure, Willem Dafoe is Norman Osborn in the MCU. That's awesome, and I can't wait to see that character interact with Tom Holland, you know, interact with whatever crazy stuff he's going to interact with. I would also absolutely love it if he was the legit Norman Osborn that we would do like Dark Avengers with and Siege and do all that kind of crazy stuff as we move forward. That would be fan-freaking-tastic. And even if these characters sort of get, you know, shuffled over to the Sony side, and we sort of separate things back after maybe Quantum Mania or whatever, there's still the possibility for crossover stories there where Tom Holland can go over there. And if they really are going to put him into the Spider-Verse too, that's awesome. They can do all sorts of crazy things like that, and we can still have Venom maybe hang out with some of the Avengers. The possibilities are insane, ladies and gentlemen, but that's it for this one. I wanted to sort of take you through some of the new news, talk about what we think it means from behind the scenes, the crazy possibilities that are coming. The MCU and just comic books in general are going to get really weird over the next couple of years. So, you know, hey, just subscribe to the channel. You know, subscribe to the channel, watch these videos. They will help you understand. Check out the live streams. Hang out with us live. You will get your nerd intelligence level leveled up, and you'll be like, okay, I get it. And then you can explain it to all of your friends. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.